Olá, sejam muito bem-vindos. Meu nome é Fernanda e estarei acompanhando vocês no webinar de hoje, que terá como tema MasterClass, Experience the Top French Education with ESSCA. Ele será ministrado em inglês pela representante da ESSCA, a Hélène Barret, com depoimentos de alguns estudantes brasileiros. Se vocês tiverem alguma dúvida durante a apresentação, por favor, coloquem ela na caixa do Q&A, que é uma caixa que fica no menu abaixo da sua tela, e eles responderão as perguntas no final da apresentação. You can start now, Hélène.
Hello, everyone. I'll share my screen now. Okay. So hi everyone. So thank you for joining this webinar today. So today's agenda. So first, I will make a presentation about ESSCA School of Management, but also our programs and our application procedure. Then we will have a masterclass by Professor Camila Villa-Duran. Then we will have a chat with Bruna Luis Alcantara, Professor ESSCA, about careers and post-graduation success stories. Then we have the pleasure to have one of our student ambassadors, Ms. Tawanda Rosat. So she will talk about her student experience at ESSCA. And of course, at the end, if you have any questions coming to mind, feel free to ask all your questions during this Q&A session. Okay, so I'll just start. So why study in France? Why study at ESSCA? So in France, you have the Grande education system. So ESSCA is also called a Grande in the business. Also, if you study in France, you will experience the French culture and lifestyle, very well known and worldwide. You also have to get to travel around Europe with one visa. You also have the possibility to learn new languages at ESSCA. Indeed, in all our programs, you can learn new languages, for example. You also have plenty of international career opportunities, internships, for example, and also create new network for your future. So just a few key facts on French companies. So 31 of the 500 biggest companies of the world are French, and they excel in many industrial sectors. Okay, so now a few facts and figures about ESSCA. So ESSCA was founded in 1909 in Angers, so quite a long time ago, with fully recognized school and recognized programs. We also belong to the 1% of business schools in the world who hold the triple prestigious triple crown accreditation. So we have AACSB, EQUIS, and AMBA accreditations. And every year we are ranked among the best national and international rankings, like for example the Times Higher Education. We have 9 campuses in 3 countries now. So in France, obviously, but also in Hungary, in Budapest, China, in Shanghai, and in Spain to 2014-24. Then we have 600 permanent faculty and lecturers and international experts. We have over 7,000 students coming from more than 50 countries and a big network of 18,000 alumni worldwide. What is also very important at ESSCA is our link with the companies, the industrial sector. Indeed, ESSCA have 2,500 partner companies in which, for example, you can do an internship or work after graduation. So now just here's a map of France with the location of our campuses. So we have 6 campuses in France: Angers, Paris, Bordeaux, Lyon, Aix-en-Provence, and Strasbourg that opened last year. And of course, we have 2 campuses abroad in Budapest and in Shanghai, and we will open brand new campuses for next year in Malaga in Spain and in Luxembourg. So what else can I say about ESSCA? So about the program. So our undergraduate programs are fully taught in English. For example, on our campuses in Angers, Paris, Lyon, but also Budapest. Each of our programs, undergraduate programs, have an international year. So you have the opportunity to spend a semester in one of our partner university. Then we have a network of more than 200 partner universities in more than 50 countries worldwide. We also offer 23 master's dual degree programs. And every year, more than 1,000 students participate in exchange programs with our partner universities. And then around 1,000 international students from 50 countries come every year at ESSCA, all programs included. Now about ESSCA employability. So what can I say here is that our graduates find employment very quickly after the diploma. For example, 81% of our graduates signed a contract before the end of the studies. And of course, 91% of our graduates were recruited by the company they wanted to work for. And 93% of our graduates were recruited in less than 4 months. So as you can see, the employability rate is quite good at ESSCA. Also, what I can tell you is our mentoring system, which is mandatory for every student. You receive a professional help and orientation from the first year till graduation. You also benefit from a strong student learning support. Our team will recognize, analyze, and find a solution to help you learn better, for example, during individual courses. Also help you to find efficient and autonomous work in practice. Also, what is important is the very high quality study environment. We offer small classrooms from 20 to 25 students, and also group work teaching strategies. Now, more information about our programs. So as I say, we have undergraduate programs like the Bachelor, Programme Grande, and Master's program. So here, some key facts about our undergraduate programs. So we have the Grande program, which is a 5-year program. It's more like a deeper learning experience to master the business fundamentals. It gives you larger career opportunities with top management position, for example. The program is available in English or in French. In English, we have it in Paris, Angers, and Lyon. It offers an undergraduate and master cycle. And then we have the Bachelor in International Management, which has more of a practical-oriented approach. But you will also get an international exposure with spending 1 semester in our partner university and a quick access to the job market after 3 years, because this is a 3-year program. It's available also in English or French in our campuses in Paris, Angers, Lyon, and also in Budapest. And you also have the opportunity for an internship or a semester abroad. Now, more information about our master's program. So we have 2 different types. So we have the Master in Management, which covers different specialization from marketing to finance and management. It's a 2-year long program. It's available in English or in French on our 7 campuses in France. And then we have Masters of Science. So we have different types of Master of Science covering different aspects, like, for example, international finance, digital and big data for value, international luxury marketing, sustainable management, global business management, and digital marketing. So this is a 1-year program. It's all in English. They're mostly on our Paris campus, but we have also 2 in our Shanghai campus in China. Yeah, so that's it about our master's portfolio programs. Now, some more information. So if you want to apply, this is our application procedure and our timeline. So the deadline to apply to all of our programs is June 2023. And so about the requirement of the admission process. So we will ask you to complete an online application form and uploading your supporting documents. So, for example, for the supporting documents, we'll ask you to provide us with your CV, your cover letter for the chosen program, explaining why you want to join this specific program, but also underlining your achievements and why you want to apply to this program. Copy of passport, obviously. Also, copy of your transcripts with the grades awarded and diploma, if you already have it. Also, it's optional, but you can upload up to 2 recommendation letters. Then you will submit your application online by paying the application fee, which is 80 or 90 euros, depending on the program you want to apply to. Then our admission team will review your application file. And if it's successful, we will invite you for a 30-minute online interview with our jury. And then, if it's successful, you will get admitted and receive an admission letter. That's it for our application procedure. If it's not clear to you, you will have the possibility to ask a question at the end of the presentation. Also, here are the facts about ESSCA have lower costs compared to some of the countries. Also, as a financial help, we have an early bird waiver. It's a 10% discount on the first day of the program if you secure your place in the program before April the 15th. So if you get admitted before this date. We also have different range of scholarships. We have a Bachelor's Excellence Scholarship. So it's a partial scholarship, Grande program Excellence Scholarships, Master's Excellence Scholarship, and President's Tuition Award Scholarship. Okay, depending on your profile and also on the program you want to apply to. Then for accommodation, you can also get benefit from potential financial aid from French government, and also about the basic living costs in Paris. There'll be around 1,000 euros per month, and over the city, around 600 to 800 euros per month. Okay. So now, yes, if you still have doubts or you would like to speak to one of our students, you can check our webpage of student ambassadors and get in touch with them. You can chat directly on our website, and they will be very happy to tell you more about their student experience. And also they can give maybe tips to apply and so on. Okay, so that's it for me. Then here is our international admission email address. So for any request about admission application, feel free to send a message here, and you can also request one-on-one chat meeting with one of our admission team. Okay, thank you very much. So now it's time for our masterclass with Camilla Villard-Durand. So if you can join us on stage, please.
Yes, hello. Bom dia a todos e todas. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm Camilla Villard-Durand. I'm professor of law and international relations at ESSCA. I'm originally from Brazil, and my research work is at the intersection of law and international economy, international finance. So why discuss this topic today with you in this masterclass, so social responsibility for businesses? First of all, ESSCA's mission is to create knowledge and develop responsible leaders, while fully considering human, ethical, and economic dimensions of organizations. So this mission is replicated in its own programs. So CSR, corporate social responsibility, is a transversal issue in different courses at ESSCA, including law courses for businesses. Secondly, of course, CSR became a very important and hot topic, not only for lawyers, but mostly for future managers. And I'm going to show you here. Wow. Let's show you recent news on this topic in France and Europe, and its cross-border impacts, particularly in certain countries of Latin America. So this is recent news on a supermarket giant Casino. A group representing indigenous people living in the Amazon forest in Brazil and Colombia filed a suit in France in 2021 against supermarket chain Casino for selling beef associated with land grabbing and deforestation in those countries. 11 indigenous associations backed by French NGOs are seeking compensation of more 3 million euros from the French retail group for damages done to their customary lands and the impact on their livelihoods. The lawsuit alleges systemic violations of human rights and environmental laws in Casino's supply chain in Brazil and Colombia. These associations, they presented evidence that Group Casino regularly bought beef from a slaughterhouse owned by JBS in Brazil, and this slaughterhouse sourced cattle from more than 500 suppliers responsible for at least 50,000 hectares of deforestation between 2008 and 2020. So this size corresponds to 5 times the size of the city of Paris, just to give you a dimension of these deforestations. So these NGOs also alleged violations of indigenous rights, citing one case in which their lands were invaded and used by cattle farms supplying beef to Casino subsidiary, I think you know, Pão de Açúcar. If, as we commonly refer to, CSR measures are voluntary, why Casino has been sued in France? Why discussing legal sanctions in this case if, as we refer to usually, and I will show you wrongly, that CSR, corporate responsibility, is only voluntary. And here, let me show you my main argument for this presentation. CSR, so corporate social responsibility, is gained if, over the time, there is an important transition from soft guidelines, recommendations regarding corporate social responsibility towards more hard regulations, legal measures of corporate social responsibility. It's in motion a significant change of economic paradigm for companies and businesses. So here you can see in my slide, this is a very important quotation of Milton Friedman, a Nobel Prize winning economist in the 70s. He said that the social responsibility of business is to increase its profit. A company has no social responsibility to the public or society in general. Its only responsibility is to its shareholders, to expand, to increase shareholders' value. This still holds true today. That's my question. We can see now a very important change of paradigm, a change of corporate paradigm, what we called stakeholder capitalism. So corporations are oriented to serve the interests of all their stakeholders and society at large. So it goes beyond shareholders, it goes beyond stockholders, but it comprises customers, suppliers, employees, and local communities as well. So the aim here of this idea of stakeholder capitalism is to create long-term value. So corporate sustainability. What is corporate sustainability? It's an approach aiming to create long-term stakeholder value through the implementation of a business strategy that focuses on ethical, social, environmental, and economic dimensions of doing business. So instead of maximizing profits and enhancing shareholder value at the cost of other stakeholder groups, the aim of this new paradigm is to maximize long-term value. This was also a particular concept that was upheld during the 50th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos in 2020. And the main theme of this annual meeting was stakeholders for a cohesive and sustainable world, a global economy, a globalized economy that should work for progress, people, and planet. Maybe you read in the newspapers the idea of the 3 Ps, progress, people, and planet, that was upheld during this annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos. And you can imagine it was even during the pandemic crisis, the COVID-19 crisis. So let me show you the most important frameworks, normative legal frameworks, voluntary and mandatory for companies today that we can see within this new paradigm, the stakeholder capitalism. So I can mention the first one, the ISO 26000. ISO stands for International Organization for Standardization. So one of the most important private international organization establishing standards for companies worldwide. And one particular standard is aimed at sustaining corporate social responsibility. And this voluntary international standard defines social responsibility as the responsibility of an organization for its impacts, for the impacts of its decisions and activities on society and the environment. So you can see this very important change of paradigm. This standard is from 2010. In 2011, the United Nations issued a new type of guideline, the guiding principles on business and human rights. And the very important concept that was brought by this new world guideline in corporate social responsibility was the concept of due diligence. And these guidelines define due diligence as an obligation, so a duty, a responsibility of corporations to identify, prevent, mitigate, and account for adverse actual and potential corporate impacts on human rights. So this particular concept is key to understand the evolution of these new frameworks regarding corporate social responsibility worldwide. Not only, sorry, let me just come back to this slide before. These are two examples of very important and key normative frameworks for corporate social responsibility. But let me mention maybe two that are very important as well, and I'm sure you heard about it. One of them is called Guidelines for Multinational Enterprise of the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. As you know, Brazil is a candidate to be a member of the OECD. And one of the most important legal frameworks within OECD, it is these guidelines for multinational companies. And this guideline also integrated the notion of due diligence. But what's very important, this guideline goes now beyond the impact on human rights that was brought by these United Nations guidelines, but included other issue areas of responsible business conduct, such as environment, climate change, conflict, corruption, disclosure, and consumer interest. So you can see the expansion of the scope areas of corporate social responsibility. And the second example is the Declaration of Principles Concerning Multinational Enterprise and Social Policy that was enacted by the International Labour Organization, ILO. It's another international framework that provides direct recommendations to multinational and national companies on social policy and inclusive, responsible, and sustainable workplace practice. So here we come back to the protection of labor laws, labor rights as well, within corporate social responsibility. This Declaration of Principles Concerning a Social Policy was an instrument adopted jointly by governments, employers, and workers. And we call this a tripartite. So another very important framework. So you can see this clear movement in expanding the guidelines and recommendations, so soft recommendations for corporate social responsibilities, and the expansion of the scope areas within what we know we call social. We can also see that the idea of due diligence became very important in these different legal frameworks. But even though they are still a type of soft law, what I mean by that, more voluntary frameworks, they are more based on guidelines and recommendations, they are still creating important economic effects on companies. So they're still voluntary, but they are having effects, they are having impacts on the practices of market agencies, on market practice. And let me show you this very interesting research that was published by the European Commission in 2020. It's a study on due diligence requirements through the supply chain. What is supply chain? A supply chain is a network of companies and people that are involved in the production and delivery of a product or a service. Currently, and as you know, that many supply chains are global in scale. So the functions of supply chain include product development, marketing, operations, distribution, finance, and customer service. So this kind of requirement on due diligence is directed not only to the companies in itself, but to the whole supply chain. That's very important. So what we can see now, that it's common, it's part of market practice, adopting this kind of requirements. So in Europe, we saw that over 1/3 of more than 300 business respondents to this empirical research, they said that even though it's voluntary, they were taking due diligence measures within their companies. They are taking into account all human rights and environment impacts in their own activities. And further, 1/3 of these business respondents, they assured that due diligence was conducted, but only limited to certain areas. So it was not a comprehensive due diligence, but it was limited to certain areas. Of course, such commitments and initiatives, voluntary initiatives, they are very welcome, and they are, of course, very, very important today. However, research also showed that when companies take voluntary decisions, they focus on the first link in the supply chains. While, and that's the case of Casino show us, human rights and environmental harm occurs more often further down in the value chain. So all these voluntary initiatives, at the end, they are very welcome, but they are not taking into account what happens further down in the value chain. Besides, it's important to know progress in this area is low and uneven. It depends of the sector, it depends of the company. This is why it is time to have a clear rules, legal rules in place. And now we can see how these corporate social responsibility measures, they are becoming more hard over time. They are hardening over time. So due diligence tools, they are becoming a pressing and a very important legal topic today, with a very important impact on businesses and of course, managers and economic leaders as well. And now I can come back to the example of the Casino's judicial case in France involving Amazon forest in Brazil and Colombia. So due diligence tools, they gradually started to integrate national and supranational laws. So that's why national judiciary power is also involved in the application of CSR recommendations. So one of the most important national law that we have today is the French 2017 Duty of Vigilance Law. And this French law created a legal obligation in France for parent companies to identify and prevent adverse impacts on human rights. And here you can see including labor and indigenous rights and the environment. So also the case of Casino involving Amazon forest, resulting from their own business activities and of the companies they control, so subsidiaries, as well as from the operations of the subcontractors or suppliers with whom they maintain an established commercial relationships. Now you can see why Casino is involved in this case, triggered in France, but impacting the whole supply chain of this retail agent. And it's important to know in 2023, European Union will enact a supranational law, a directive on corporate sustainability due diligence with significant cross-border impacts too. So many supply chains, again, are global in scale. And this law that will be enacted within European Union will impact different companies around the world, just because they are dealing with European Union companies or parent companies. So I showed you why this issue is important, why it's becoming even more important for responsible future managers. But what are the benefits for company? After all, managers should comply with this measure because they are becoming harder over time. There are legal sanctions in place. But what are the benefits for the companies? Why companies, even though it was not yet for certain of them mandatory to comply with corporate social responsibility measures, due diligence tools, why they are adopting this kind of management tool, and why it's important that laws in different countries, including European Union, should take into account. There are benefits for the company, there are benefits for businesses. Let me show you some of them. So first of all, CSR and due diligence, they are meeting growing consumers' expectations. Consumers are even more interested in products made in an ethically and environmentally sustainable way. Second, corporate social responsibility measures, they are meeting increasing investor expectations, investment expectations. And here, this acronym CSR, corporate social responsibility, meets ESG, this new acronym, environmental, social, and government. governance, sorry. Investors demand transparency requirements. And ESG tools, they are benchmarks for investments. So how companies, they are complying with requirements regarding respect to environment, social requirements, and governance. Third benefit, this kind of tool reinforce risk management. Thanks to these new rules, companies will have a clear view of their operations and supply chain, including higher awareness of their negative impacts. They can also detect problems and risks, including reputational risks, early. Fourth, generating economic profits, economic benefits. Different research papers demonstrate that companies incorporated sustainability factors into their policy and strategies, they can generate higher returns. That's not random that investors, they are concerned with ESG investments, with impact investment, with social investing strategies. And finally, increasing resilience. That's another benefit for company. Recent research during the COVID-19 crisis showed that companies which already had integrated social, environmental, and health considerations into their strategies better dealt with the pandemic crisis. They saw a slighter, very small drop in stock prices during the pandemic compared to those companies who had not adopted CSR tools into their integrated CSR tools into their corporate strategies. So let me finish this this masterclass. Again, coming back into my to my main argument that corporate social responsibility and due diligence requirements, they are becoming more more important to companies, not only because they are now even more than any time before having legal impacts. They are having now teeth. They have now teeth, and they have legal sanctions that could be applied to companies. But because also CSR and due diligence requirements, they can benefit company and they can help corporate strategy as well. Thank you so much for your attention. I remain at your disposal for any question that you have.
Okay, thank you very much, Camila. This was a very interesting presentation. So now, we will discuss about the careers at ESSCA post-graduation success stories with Bruna. So, Bruna, maybe you want to introduce yourself first? Or...
With pleasure.
Yes.
Boa tarde a todos. Estou muito feliz de estar aqui hoje com vocês. I'll switch to English so everybody can understand, but I'm happy as Brazilian and as alumni also at ESSCA to talk a little bit more about careers and successful stories of our students. So actually I work at ESSCA for 2 years. I'm from Brazil. I'm from Vitória, Espírito Santo. I don't know if you know there. It's a beautiful place to be. And I'm involved in the Master of Science programs and also in the entrepreneurship team. So what I can say is that ESSCA, it's triple crown, as Elena said at the beginning, School of Management. So we are happy to deliver high quality class studies because we are really involved and respectable of all the accreditations that we have. So it's a quality that you will be sure that you will get when you come. And after all, what we can see from the marketing, and what I'm speaking about this qualifications that we have is that because when we design a program, we are really aware of what's going on the marketing, what the companies are looking for, and that's the way that we deliver our programs. So that's why at least a third of our students, they get their first fixed term contract before leaving the school. And then for another third, it takes no more than 1 month to get a job. And I have some successful histories to tell you, but I don't want to name people, but I can say what they do after quitting school. We have, for example, as Elena said at the beginning, we have many fields in the school. So we have, for example, financial, and we have many of our students that have successful histories working for the Big Four. So it means PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, and on. For our Master of Science, if I can give some example for the one that I'm in charge of, that's the digital and big data for value. People are working and have successful careers in automobile industry. Also, I have a student that from last year that get a beautiful job as data analyst in Bloomberg, UK. So here in France, we have this master's in English. After you finish your path, you can work for sure here in Paris, but also in Europe. And that's what happened with our students, is that some stays in France, but many travel all over Europe to have a successful career after all. I don't know if you have any specific question that you want to ask me, Ellen?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Bruna. Yes, if you can tell us about maybe 1 or 2 specific success stories from one of the students that you know.
Yeah, sure. We have, for example, students from the path of entrepreneurship, because it's one of the fields that you can choose in the last year of studies. So it means if you can to do your master here, it will be the last year. And they build a beautiful GPS for people in disability situation. So it means as we have ways for cars, it's for people that are maybe not able to walk too much, or here in Paris, we have many of the stairs to climb, so it's a little bit difficult if we have any health problems to visit the city. So that's a beautiful, and as Camila said during her course, we have all this focus on CSR, even if our entrepreneurs, at least, they leave the school with this in mind, and they build beautiful projects.
Okay. And what is the day-to-day life for students enrolled in our master's program at ESSCA?
Oh, they have a huge program because it's a full-time program, so they study a lot, but they have enough time also to have fun. So what's beautiful to see is that we have people all over the world. As we'll see, Tawanda, she's from Brazil, as almost all of us. And they create a beautiful community. We have associations. So after class, there is a life around the campus, but specifically about the class, we have professors that are researchers, and we have professionals from the field of the studies also. So we mix researchers in-house professors, and also business people that are in the working daily life in business to deliver a whole experience for our students.
Okay, well, you already mentioned the teachers, so can you tell us more about the kind of teachers in the programs, external speakers, from which industries sometimes they come from?
Oh, many come. I'm really involved in, for example, in the Master of Science in Digital and Big Data. So this is a program where we mix, just to name some, people that work for L'Oreal, people that work for big companies in digital, and also startuppers. So we really try to bring a mix of different industries to deliver business case, and we work the pedagogical aspects of the program of the masters is that we try to make students work on business cases and in groups, deliver groups exams, and also as for example law exams, it will be a classical exams. So we mix many things in the pedagogy to try to deliver in 1 year a high quality experience.
Thank you, Bruna, for giving us a great overview of what it's like studying at ESSCA. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So now we'll switch to our testimonial from our student ambassador, Tawanda Rosa. So Tawanda, thank you very much for being here. Can you introduce yourself, giving general information about your background?
Yes, of course. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Tawanda. I'm from Curitiba in Brazil, but now I live in Bordeaux in the south of France. I'm in the Master's in Management at ESSCA in the major of International Business. And my first semester in September 21, I studied in the Paris campus. This is where I met Bruna. She was my professor. And in September 2022, I moved to the campus in Angers. So I had both of the experiences. And now I just started my end of studies internship, which is in Bordeaux, and that's why I moved here.
Okay, thanks. And how did you know about ESSCA? And how is coming to France, living in Paris?
So I know ESSCA because my university in Brazil, called PUC Paraná, has a partnership with ESSCA for some double degree programs. And I think because of my situation, everything happened very fast because it was almost the beginning of the school year. So my visa was really fast. And I also could find a student residence to live in Paris, which is very, very convenient. And it was also not far from the campus, but also close to the tourist attractions. So it was a good experience living in Paris.
Okay, great. And what did you enjoy the most? What are you enjoying the most being in France?
I really enjoy living in France for everything. I would say at first I was worried about coming without speaking French, but living in Paris is very easy to meet people from all over the world. So not speaking French was not really an issue. And I really enjoy like this cultural exchange of living in France because there's so many people and it's also so easy to travel to other countries in Europe. And something else is that I did get the chance to study in Paris, but also do an internship. So having like both of the experiences, it's very different. And I think it was nice to like have this two sides of living in France, working and studying.
Okay. And could you share with us your student experience at ESSCA? How are the classes look like, your student life, everything you want to tell us?
Yes, so it was very different from the Paris experience and the experience in Angers. Both of the campus, I was the only international student in my class, but I was very welcomed by the French students and they would speak English when I was around, and so not speaking French really wasn't an issue. And there was also some activities for all the international students at the beginning of the year. So this is where I met all my friends from so many countries. Although they were not in my class, I was able to meet all of them. And about the classes, I think it's very different to what I was used to do in Brazil, because the schedule for it's like based on days. So sometimes I had some weeks with classes every day, and sometimes I had only a few classes on the week. And this is not something we're used to in Brazil, but it gives such a good flexibility to do other things outside of the school. But overall, I think both of the campuses were very good.
Okay. And so Amanda, how did you find your internship?
I found my internship, I think it's a French website. It's called Welcome to the Jungle. And both of my internships I found on this website. I really recommend it. It's very, very good. And most of the startups and English-speaking companies are there.
Okay. And what are you currently doing in this role?
So I'm working for a company called Back Market. It's a marketplace dedicated to refurbished products. And what was really important for me in this job is the international environment, because I wanted, of course, a company that could speak English. And at Back Market, we have like so many nationalities, and of course, we speak English. And my position here is in talent acquisition. So I have the content with the candidates all over the world in the recruitment process, and it's been very good.
Thank you very much, Tawanda, for sharing your experience. So now I think it's time for our Q&A session. So let's see the questions. Okay, so I'll just start reading the questions that we have here. So is there a good amount of accommodation options there? So yes, I can tell you that if you're in any cities where ESSCA is located, you will benefit from help regarding accommodation. Our team is also dedicated to help you with that matters. For example, we help our international admitted students by finding accommodation, because we have a contract with student residencies, private or even public, nearby campuses. So of course we will help you with accommodation. Hi, will there be options for scholarships or internships? So yes, for internships, you will have the chances to do internship in one of our programs, the Bachelor program. You have mandatory internships in France or abroad. So yeah, and for scholarships, as I mentioned in my presentation, we have two different types of scholarship. We have an automatic early bird waiver to apply before 15th April. We also have different type of scholarship according to your profile or the program you're applying to. More information about our scholarship is also on our website. Hi, can I work and study here? Yes, sure. As a student in France with the student visa, you are able to work during your studies. You have a limited amount of hours of work, of course. I think it's 20 a week, but you have, of course, the opportunity to work to finance your studies. Okay. Would I need to have certain documents to apply? How to make my application stand out? Yes, so as I mentioned also in my presentation, you do have to provide us with your supporting documents when applying to a program. So it will be basically your CV, your covering letter, the copies of your academic transcript of the last few years, copy of last diploma awarded. Also, if you're applying, of course, for an English program, you have to provide an English test score. So the minimum required is the B2 level of English. So we accept, for example, the IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, Cambridge, for example. And then also it's an optional, but you can also add recommendation letters from academic or professional contexts. And how to make your application stand out? I would say prepare all your documents, and also in your personal statement or your cover letter, please feel free to add as many things as possible, detail your experience. If you're involved in any type of activities, associations, cultural, sports activities, we are very happy to know more about yourself. Also, your academic results are important, but also what you're doing as extracurricular activities also very important. Okay, will all classes be in English? So yeah, you have the option of studying in French and also in English. All our programs are taught in both languages. Okay. Can I find any extra? Yes. Associations. So you will have the opportunity to join the clubs of your choice. You can even create one if you want to. Is there a deadline to apply? So yes, there's the deadline to apply to our program for the next intake, September 2023, is end of June 2023. Okay, so maybe that's a question maybe for Tawanda. Did you find it difficult to find a job, but maybe an internship or adapt to the work environment here?
I think for my first internship was a little bit difficult because I didn't know exactly what French companies like, for example, on my CV, or the type of interview I should do, and like which type of company to apply, because a lot of the companies, they do want you to speak French, and I didn't know specifically where to search for the good companies for like international people. So for the first time, yes, I took maybe 2 months to find my internship. And for my second internship, where I knew how to do it, it took me a week. So it was very easy the second time. And to adapt to the work environment, no, because I looked for companies that have the startup environment and very international, so no problem.
Thank you. And are there networking opportunities at ESSCA? Yes, so I think at ESSCA you will have the opportunity also to meet with companies, because in some of our programs we'll have a group project with companies. So it's a very good opportunity for you to mingle and to know more some people from the work world. So that's a very interesting opportunity there. How far in advance do you recommend starting an application process? Well, the deadline is end of June, of course, but we recommend you to apply as soon as possible, because after that you have many things to think about, like accommodation, visa. So we encourage you to apply soon in advance, to prepare all your documents. Sometimes you will need to do translations as well, if your documents are not in English or French. So you need to think, maybe give you a few weeks to really make a very good application and make sure that everything is ready, and that's it. I think all the questions are answered. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Aline and Camila. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation and for answering all the questions posted here. Also, thank you, Bruna and Tawanda, for the testimonials. And also thank you for everyone who participated today. Before we finish, do you want to say any last words?
Well, yes, I just want to say to all the participants a big thank you, to our speakers as well. And also, if you have any questions, you can write at our international.admissions@essca.fr. So this is the email where you can ask all your questions regarding our programs or applications. we will be very happy to assist you.
Okay,
Could
so
I
we finished.
just to say something?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, of
Just,
course.
I hope to see I hope to see you at ESSCA in the different campi. Eu espero encontrá-los todos e todas por aqui na ESSCA. Prazer enorme.
Era exatamente o que eu queria dizer também, sejam bem-vindos. E se vocês precisarem de alguma informação mesmo em português, é só mandar o e-mail e depois a Helena transfere para a gente.
Okay, so see you in the next webinars, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.